What's going on, YouTube? This is Boxingwave. Hope you hear me loud and clear. I just got back from the O2 Arena. I went to see Fabio Wardley against Clarke live. Okay, this is my first time in the O2. Many of you know I came here last year to watch Anthony Yard against Arthur Better BF. Okay, but that was at Wembley Arena, not the stadium. All right. And this time it was a definitely an even better experience going to this fight. I think I had a great time last year. I tend to keep getting lucky with these main events. All right. I'm 2 for 2 now coming out to London to see a fight because both last year and this year now, the main events have been incredible, especially this one. I mean, this fight here was even a better fight than Yard and Better BF last year. I mean, this was way more competitive. And not to knock, Yard or anything, because I love that fight. That was one of my favorite fights last year too. But this fight here was just back and forth. And I brought my cousin with me who's never been to a boxing match, a live boxing event ever in his life. So I'm glad he was there with me. He enjoyed it. He loved the last fight. So I had got there right around when Ben Whittaker fight was starting. I think I was like halfway through the first round when I sat in my seat. So let me just say, I thought that fight was a lot more competitive than his last one. I had known that, or I had heard from fans that his opponent was a lot tougher than his last opponent. So I didn't do any research on his opponent or anything like that. I was just there for fun. And I very casually watched the fight, but I noticed that Ben was getting hit a lot more. And, I think, one comment I did make before and I've said this too with other fighters in the past. I said this about Josh Kelly. I'm kind of concerned about fighters that are like super duper flashy, because there comes like a point where, okay, this is a real fight. This guy's hitting you. Not everything that was working in the last fight worked in this one, because he fought an opponent that could land, and he had a great enough chin to go the distance with him. And I actually thought his opponent finished the fight stronger. All right. But anyway, good fight. The Congo fight with Florian Marco. Good fight, solid fight. Again, another fight where I kept leaving. I had to go to the bathroom. I was waiting online to try to get a drink. That was out of control, man. Anyway, good solid fight, solid scrap. But nothing. I mean, I did not expect this Wardley Clarke fight to be as good as. I mean, this was a phenomenal. I mean, anything that you would want in a fight. There was a knockdown, just big moments from both. I mean, Fabio probably hurt and backed up Clarke so many times, and then Clarke would just land a big shot as soon as Fabio would land his best shot in a round. It seemed like every single time, almost every time that Fabio hurt him or it landed a big shot, Clarke was right back on his ass. It was such a good fight, man. Oh man, I love the crowd, man. Clarke had a fan base there that was just cheering him on. Majority of the people were going for Wardley, but I love the energy in the arena. I mean, I loved it when I went to Wembley last year, but this was even better. I love the energy in the UK. You guys are just different when it comes to boxing, and this is why every once in a blue now, this is my third time out here. The first time I tried to come out here is when Joshua was supposed to fight. When he was supposed to fight Gerald Miller at Wembley Stadium. Okay, we know what happened there. Fight was canceled, and then Joshua came to New York, and I saw him fight Ruiz and get stopped in that fight. But this is gonna be a regular. I love it out here. I've made friends out here, and it's always a good time. But the fight, definitely would like to see it again. Scoring it, I thought it was 8 rounds to 4, maybe 7 rounds to 5 for Clarke. I thought Fabio had the bigger moments in the fight. You know, he scored a knockdown. I think he hurt him really bad in the 11th round. I couldn't even see what punch landed in that 11th round, but Fabio had moments where he would land a big shot on Clarke and he would try to finish him off. Clarke showed his punch resistance was on point. I thought he was more consistent than Fabio. Yeah, he couldn't miss with the jab. He landed the jab on. I mean, he set the tone in this fight early, you know, and it kind of reminded me of the first round and a half of the Gorman Wardley fight when Gorman was tagging up with pretty good shots, and Wardley's face gets busted up pretty quickly. And then it was a point where Wardley was just starting being really aggressive. It's like I tweeted, it's like evil Wardley or evil Fabio just arrived, you know, because I figured at some point he would just throw away the boxing and start just throwing bombs, which he did. But I have to give Clarke, I mean, there's really no losers. I have to give Clarke credit. I mean, he took it, you know, and he fired back and pushed Wardley back at times, you know, and there was a lot of questions. You know, I did do a video on the fight and I did lean towards Wardley to win. I know a lot of people were picking Clarke because of his amateur experience. And a lot of people like myself was picking Wardley because of the pro experience and what he's done as a pro. But I've covered a few fights on Fabio Wardley, and I said that, you know, outside of his last fight against David Adelaide, all right, I've always questioned certain defensive flaws and, you know, certain technical issues that I've seen, especially when it just came to defense. No one really exposed it until tonight when he fought Frazier Clarke. You know, Frazier did well, man. He did very, very good. I was looking at social media a little bit while I was in the building. It's definitely back and forth. It's definitely mixed. I see a lot of people pick Clarke. A lot of people pick Fabio. I don't think the point for the low blow should have been taken at that point. You know what I mean? Excuse me, some of you may disagree. I believe there was one warning, and then maybe there was I think the second time there was a point taken. Again, I'm watching it in an arena, and even though I think I watch the fights, I think I'm better at critiquing the fights on TV. Even if I'm sitting close up, yes, there are certain things I think for at least for me, from the entertaining factor to it, it's better to see it live. But when I'm really I'm zoned in when I'm watching it on television, you know. So again, I couldn't even tell what shot hurt Clarke in the 11th round. But I don't think anyone should really be upset. I mean, that was a gem of a fight, you know, and I think I had it close. I thought there was a couple rounds that were swing rounds. Again, there were rounds. I mean, there had to be at least 3 rounds where, like, one guy was winning clear into it just got changed and turned around. And certain rounds was like back and forth. Like, there were certain rounds where Clarke was winning, Fabio bombed on him. And then then Clarke kind of finished stronger a little bit. It was like that. I think the key things is Clarke. I think he was definitely more accurate. You know, didn't rely solely on power shots as much. I mean, he worked behind the jab. I think the IQ was definitely better with Clarke. I have to go with him with that. And the consistency. And even his stamina, you know, his conditioning was better to me. Wardley relied more on the haymakers, you know what I mean? I don't think he set up the shots as good as he did against Adelaide. I think Adelaide fight, the feints was working for him, the jab was working for him. But in this fight here, he was getting out jabbed. and he started relying on throwing overhand rights to counter the jab. I think he was really good. I think if Fab went to the body a little bit more, because it seemed like he was doing so well when he would go to body. It seemed like it would hurt Clarke at times. I think if he did that a little bit more, not that he didn't do it, he did do it enough, but I think if he did a little bit more, I think he would have probably did better, at least not, if not on the scorecards, maybe getting the stoppage. What else? The backhand punches that he threw, again, this is where I kind of like maybe the point shouldn't be taken, because even though he got hit with a couple low blows, he kept throwing punches with the back of his hand often, and he was warned a few times because of it. A few times he did it, he wasn't warned. I did notice that in the fight. No point was obviously taken. So I think the way I look at it, because I was trying to do the math in my head while I was there, I do think Clarke won 7. I think he secured 7, right? I think with the knockdown and the point taken, it probably would have been a draw the way I scored the fight. You know what I mean? Again, it's not, I don't think anyone got robbed. I can hear the robbery, yeah, because of the point was taken. If you really believe that the point shouldn't have been taken, I can hear that argument, but again, it's up to the judge's discretion. We've seen low blows, maybe a point taken, maybe after 3 or 4 times of hitting. I think if the low blows were a lot more clear, or sometimes a point could be taken like a lot if it was a harder low blow. You know what I mean? Again, it's up to the discretion of the referee. But to be honest, man, with that outcome, there's no way I can walk away from what I just saw and be angry. So maybe I'm looking at it differently from some of the people that's online watching it. I had too good of a time to really be mad at anything. You know what I mean? Especially if I'm bringing someone with me and they're enjoying it like I'm enjoying it, and everybody around us is enjoying it. It's just too much fun for me to be mad, and it was too close of a fight for me to scream robbery. Again, I rarely scream robbery. It really got to be clear for me. There got to be some horrific scorecards for it to be like a robbery for me. But I do think Frazier barely edged it, or a draw, judging off the points, the point that was taken and the extra point from the knockdown. I'm cool with the scorecard. 113, 113, I'm fine. Honestly, was thinking before the judges read the cards that it would probably be a draw. You know what I mean? But robbery, I don't see a robbery. It was just too close. And it was one of the best fights of the year. I don't know if it's the best, but it's one of the best I've seen. Yeah, so it was great fight. Great experience again. I got lucky again and ended up watching a good fight live. Lee Wood was sitting right in front of me. Shout out to him. I was trying to get a shot with him, but I try not to bother these guys too much. Kell Brook, I kept running into him. Especially when I see a bunch of fans like swarming them. You know what I mean? So I say, at the very least, I meet a lot of people, and I normally just shake their hand and tell them like, I'm a fan. I talked to Lee Wood for a second. Told him about the channel. Big fan of him. He was a gentleman. He was sitting right in front of me again. Kell Brook, same thing. Big fan. Keep it moving. I try not to bother these guys too much because they're getting swarmed and people taking pictures with them so much. But shout out to everyone that I met during this trip. All right, and my friend, shout out to my boy Paul. Same name. We got the same name. Always have a good time when I come out here, man. And yeah, I'm here for one more day. I mean, I've been pretty busy since the whole time I've been here. I haven't really even slept that much. I've been having a great time. I'm over Mountain and Shoreditch area. Been here, but I've never stayed in this area. So definitely a different experience. It's definitely wild out here. But the arena, taking a tube, taking a bus, taking a tube all the way to the O2. It's wild, man. Like, I thought it was wild the last time I was here, but this time, this trip has been so wild. It's crazy out here, man. It is. Um, it's crazy out here, But again, shout out to my boy Paul that showed me around, and I've been moving around, man. I've been having a good time. It's been nonstop. I try to make content. Normally, I make a little bit more content, but I've been having so much fun, man. I haven't had time. I did watch some of the pay-per-view yesterday with Zoo and Fedora. I did watch that fight. I still have to watch. I did pay for it. The pay-per-view. Was only $19.99 out here for me, so I didn't have to pay the full price like in the States. But I will follow up, catch up. Tomorrow's my last day here. Tomorrow will be a lot more chill. So maybe I can get some more content before I get back home. All right, but if not, I'll see you when I get home. But anyway, thanks everyone. Thanks London. Shout out to all you guys, man. Thanks. I've been reading all the comments you've been leaving me on social media and on my videos. And yeah, I'll be back soon. All right, y'all have a good one. Subscribe to the channel. Peace.